Brandon Briscoe, and welcome to another episode of the Postscript Shorts, where we interview students from the Living Faith Bible Institute and talk to them about how they came to know Christ, about how they've grown in their faith over the years, and what God's doing in their lives now, what the calling on their life is now. And so today I have the honor and the privilege of interviewing one of my favorite people in the entire world, my sister. Not my actual sister. Okay, I won't lay claim to that. Other people have that right. But she is my spiritual sister, Brooke Sidebottom. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Brandon. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's good to see you.
It's so good to see you, too.
It's an honor to have you. It's so much fun hanging out with you, and we don't ever get to see each other anymore, so this is really, really nice. For our listeners who don't know Brooke, you've never heard her voice or seen her face before, Brooke is a part of a church planting team that is in Boston right now, and they are making disciples. And you've been in Boston how long now?
Almost 2 years now. Actually, in a couple of days, it'll be the 2-year mark. Exactly.
Tell us, before we get into your story and how you came to know Christ and all that stuff, which I want to hit, tell us a little bit about what's going on right now and what the work has been like in Boston and what church planting has been like a little bit, because I think people want to get that insight.
Man, I'm just so grateful to the Lord that He's allowed me to be a part of this work. It really is just amazing to see Him bring people into the church, and everyone is discipling someone right now and has multiple other people investing in, and so it's been a sweet time just seeing God add to the church. And several salvations, several discipleship pairings. It's been really sweet.
I want to get into the details of the work here in a little bit, but let's start by just introducing who you are in terms of your faith. What the early years of your faith, that part of the journey, tell us what that was like.
Yeah, so this is kind of fun because you knew me when I was a kid.
But do you want me to share my perspective of what you were like when you were little?
Yeah, I kind of want to hear it.
I mean, I remember going over to the Sidebottom's house and Brooke hiding a lot. She would be around the corner and you just see her peek out and kind of observe what was going on. I think she was scared. I was probably 18, 19, 20 at the time. And you were probably, 7, 8, 9-ish.
Yeah.
And just very introverted, very shy, quiet. And so much has changed. I mean, you're a completely different person now than the little kid that I knew. And so tell us about what that little girl was like and how'd she come to believe in Jesus?
Yeah, that's kind of what identified me for a long time, was just being afraid of people. Not just you, Brandon, but any person.
That's good.
Nothing personal.
I'm glad to know that, actually. Good.
Growing up, I had just a wonderful family childhood. My parents are awesome. Yeah, they love the Lord. They're serving faithfully still in their church. And, so I saw growing up just a model of hospitality. We had Bible studies in our home, and, I would see them discipling people. They led prayer teams. So really was blessed to have parents that modeled a life dedicated to the Lord. And by the time that I was probably 4 or 5, all of my siblings had received Christ. I have 3 older brothers. And so growing up, I just had a lot of examples to look to. My grandparents were missionaries in Ethiopia, so they would share stories. I think they moved back to the States around end of elementary school for me. Just hearing their stories and their heart for the mission. I knew this is the thing, like this is what you give your life to. And I've known that from a very young age. My parents would have the TV on pretty regularly in our house. And so, after 9/11 happened, there were just story after story on TV of people who had survived or people who had died, and their family members were talking. And so it was about a month after 9/11 that I went to my dad and told him, I know I need to be saved because I don't know where I'd go if I died. And, my dad did one of those things where at the time I didn't understand it. He said, if you still feel like that tomorrow, then let's talk again. And I was like, what?
Right.
Like, I want to get saved, Dad. Isn't this like the best
Yeah.
thing? But I know now he didn't want me to make an emotional decision. And so I went to him again the next day, still had this burden on my heart. And my parents walked me through the Romans Road and received Christ there at home on a Monday night. And, just super sweet time of my parents getting to walk me through that process. And just knowing in my heart that I was forgiven of my sins. And so that's the story of coming to Christ. And
Right. We want to hear what happened next, because from there you somehow found your way to working with us and getting experience at Midtown. So tell us about how that took place, all that unfolded afterwards.
After receiving Christ, being introverted and shy, it's something I really struggled with growing up, was having social anxiety. I would kind of hide behind Blake, my older brother, and he would kind of speak for both of us. And I still, would go to church, and middle school, high school time, like I would try not to make eye contact with people, because then they might talk to me. Like, that's terrifying.
Right.
Like, who wants to talk to people? Like, they're scary.
Hey, could you, when you were a kid, could you go, like at McDonald's, go to the counter and order food for yourself?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
So it was like that. It was that level of fear.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, it was terrible. I remember having, I did some extracurricular activities in school, and just the thought of going there and not having one of my siblings or my parents with me just like terrified me. So it was a rough time.
But God worked it. But God worked that out of you. So how did He do that? Like, what did it take?
Honestly, it took discipleship. Going into discipleship, like, I loved God, I loved His Word, and I've seen like ministry modeled around me, but I didn't really know how to bring the Word to other people, because I was still scared of them. And in time, I was put in some positions where I had to talk to people, honestly, just in life. And I really needed a personality change, honestly. I couldn't get away with being introverted my whole life, or not introverted, but, shy, I guess. I need to be able to talk to people. So I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah. And God absolutely did that in your life. And I would say that you probably still are, naturally an introvert, but you function in life, practically as an extrovert. I mean, you're one of the most social people I know, and you become that because the mission demanded it. And so, I know we became close through ministry at Midtown, and eventually you ended up over here serving with Blake, your older brother, and you were a part of the college and young adult ministry here at Midtown Baptist Temple. Tell us about that experience. What was that like, and what did you learn in those years in college young adult ministry, discipling and serving the Lord?
Yeah, so I remember, Blake had been at Midtown for a while whenever I came over, and I think I was a sophomore in college when I started coming to Midtown. And, I was just impressed by, going to Bible study. Lucy was the Bible study leader for the one college ladies.
Yeah, Lucy Akins.
Yeah. So she left to go to Tampa maybe only 6 months after I came to Midtown. And so I got to see that example in her, and just watch her life, and, go on those first couple mission trips down there, and see that church plant. And I'm very grateful for their testimony, and just, her and Mark and Astrid. But, during those first few years at Midtown, I remember Pavla Ginther, she really helped me get integrated into ministry. And eventually we started leading a Bible study together under Dan in the college young adults class, and learned a lot through having Bible studies and getting to know ladies, and just really amazing to watch God work in people's lives, and in my own, just working through things. And after a while of being at Midtown, I started Blueprint with Deb Mulder. And
Yeah, Blueprint it's a discipleship material.
yeah, so I feel like I was blessed to have multiple disciplers, in my life of TK in high school, and then coming over to Midtown. Definitely Deb poured into me a lot. And so I cherish that.
Tell us about your discipleship experiences with others too, because you made an investment. Other people made an investment in you, but you made an investment in other people as well. And tell us about what it's like to pour into other people's lives, and what those relationships were like, and even how they prepared you for the mission field.
Yeah, man, Brandon, you're gonna make me cry just thinking about my girls. Gosh, I love each one of them so much, and honestly, that's been one of the hardest parts about being here in Boston is being away from them. Man, discipleship is the biggest blessing to be part of. And, right before coming here, Lydia, one of the girls that I was very blessed to go through discipleship with, she organized a lunch with all of the ladies that I was a part of discipleship with. And I'll never forget that. Like, that's just sweet. So yeah.
So give them a shout out real quick. Who are some of the girls that you discipled?
Hold on, I'm gonna look at my.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss them. Lydia made me this super cute family portrait with all of us.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. So Melissa, Malaya, Lydia, Mackenzie, and Teresa. So those are my girls.
You got everybody. Yeah, that's so cool.
Got them right here next to my desk because okay. So you asked me about what it was like, and then even now, like having those relationships with those girls. We've got a group chat going with a lot of them, and honestly, they've been a huge encouragement to me since being here. Of seeing God use them in Kansas City, and just hearing testimony of how their Bible study, a lot of them are Bible study leaders now, just how their groups are growing and the ladies they're investing in. And so I definitely keep in contact with them and am encouraged by their faith. Very encouraged by them continuing in the faith. And I'm so proud of each one of them. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, God has used you, and as He's promised in His Word that when people are full of faith and are willing to obey Him and invest their lives, that they'll be made fruitful. They'll naturally multiply the work, and we've seen that in your life for sure. So, how did you make the decision to go to Boston? Like, what was that like? That process?
Yeah. So God had already been working, many years before Boston was even a thought. I never even thought about Boston. Really, at my grandma's funeral, I think was probably my biggest moment of, Lord, here am I, send me. Like, I just want my life to be glorifying you. And I think it was 2017. God led me to start a Bible study at UMKC, which is the college that I graduated from. I had a map of, so I have UMKC. It is my terrible handwriting, so I won't show it to you for very long. But there's this little map I had written out, and, I was like, UMKC, 16,000 students. MU had 32,000 students. MSU, 26,000 students. I was just looking at this like, man, God, what would you do if we were to plant a church in Columbia or in Springfield or in St. Louis so, going into Mission Focus, I had that map in my journal. And then Mike Renaud starts talking in one of those breakout lunch sessions. He's sharing about Boston. And at this point, I knew Boston was a thought, and I had been praying with Gabrielle Renaud because she was sorting through if she should go. And so I was like, yeah, let's pray together. She's in my Bible study. So we met up and prayed a few times, but I had never really considered it for myself until that breakout session. And Mike was sharing there's 260,000 college students in one city. And
phenomenal. Amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Of those 260,000, about 60,000 are international students, which is so sweet to be able to come and meet the nations here. And so sitting in that meeting, I'm like trying not to start bawling because I got like my whole Bible study in there with me. And so I'm like, I don't want them to freak out thinking I'm leaving them. But so started praying then. And, in the next year, God was just working on me and showing me things in his word and conversations with you and with Pastor Mike. And then here I am.
Yeah, here you are. A big decision, and one that we hope to see a lot of the LFBI students make as they hear the call of God on their life. God, would you have me to be a part of a church plant? Would you have me to be a part of a missions work, whether here in the U.S. or abroad? And so that's why we want to have you here, is because we want people to hear that story and how impactful and important that kind of decision is. Now you've been on the field for a little while now. I know it's a completely different environment. I know it's a kind of a different world than Kansas City is, but you're doing the same thing, just in a different place. Did you feel like you've been prepared as far as you could be prepared? Did you feel prepared for the work?
Yeah, I think definitely my time at Midtown prepared me for doing some of the same things here. I mean, obviously with a team our size, we're doing a bunch of random little things that I never thought I would be doing. like,
like running a soundboard
yeah,
or doing worship or whatever it might be.
Especially doing worship.
You gotta
that
wear,
is a stretch.
You gotta wear every hat, don't you?
Yeah, and everybody helps with everything. We're all submitted to each other, and it's just every Sunday is a miracle, and it's pretty sweet to be a part of that. But yeah, I think definitely my time, especially Bible studies, discipleship at Midtown and LFBI. I mean, a lot of the things I've learned in the LFBI classes are super helpful here. I mean, I've got all my LFBI notes with me, and I reference them regularly. So very thankful for that.
What are some of the situations that have popped up that require you kind of recollecting things that you learned in LFBI?
Yeah, so Boston is very intellectual, lots of higher education, prestigious colleges. So I've, been able to dig into some of the apologetics notes and kind of brush up on that after conversations during evangelism and, biblical counseling. Yeah, I think those classes have been very helpful.
Brooke, do you listen to the Postscript?
I do. Yeah.
One of the questions I've been asking people is what's your favorite episode of the Postscript?
I think Tony Godfrey's on having a church in a rural setting.
Really?
As weird as it is, like being here in a big city, listening to that was just so sweet, considering how it's different in other places and appreciating how God works in all parts of the world. And just, I don't know, not getting so tied up in this ministry method of big city ministry, So I really like Tony too. Just anything that he does or says, I'm there for it.
He's pretty awesome. Yeah. No, I love that you said that, because a lot of people say that's one of their favorite. Mm-hmm. And there's so few people who are actually ministering in those types of settings. It's generally people who are in big cities. They're like, hey, that one episode with Tony, that was huge for me. And I think it's just the passion, his heart for people. I mean, and you need that anywhere you go, I guess.
Yeah. And also the ones that Mike Renaud did. It's sweet going back and listening to those sometimes, because he just talks about this first few months of being in Boston. So
yeah, it's a good reminder for you guys, I bet.
Yeah, for sure.
We love you so much, Brooke, and we're looking forward to you graduating from LFBI. Yeah. That's not that far away, I don't think.
No, 4 more classes.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that too.
Thank you.
In about a month and a half, I'll be out to visit.
Yeah, so excited. Love you, Brandon. Thanks for having me on this show.
Love you too. Bye. Brooke. We want to thank you for hanging out with us for this episode of the Postscript Shorts. And Brooke is just one of many students in our Bible Institute that have stories of what Christ has done in their lives and the work that God's doing and the calling. And these are things worth sharing. And so even if you can't share on the Postscript Shorts. Maybe one day you will, but even if you can't, we want you to share what God is doing in your life with other people. Share your testimony. Share what God is up to and how he's using you, because it is an encouragement and it does edify people and it does challenge them to live out their faith to the fullest. And so please continue to share what God's doing in your life with others. In the meantime, visit lfbi.org to learn about our classes and what God is doing in the coming semesters. We want you to join us for classes if you're able to do so. But we love you, and we hope to see you again for another episode of the Postscript. God bless.